It was a typical Friday evening, and my friends Mia and Tyler and I had decided to hit up our local Target for some snacks and a movie night at my place. The store was busy with people stocking up for the weekend, and we were joking and laughing, enjoying the start to our weekend. That's when I first noticed her. She was an older woman, probably in her late 50s, dressed in a long faded coat that seemed a bit heavy for the weather. Her hair was tangled and she wore a wide brimmed hat that shadowed her face. What caught my attention though wasn't her odd attire, it was the way she was staring at us from the end of the aisle, her gaze intense and unwavering. Guys, do you see that woman over there? I nudged Mia and nodded subtly towards the lady. Mia glanced over and shrugged. Yeah, so? Maybe she's just zoning out. Happens to me all the time. But Tyler looked a bit more concerned. She's kinda creepy, dude. Like, why is she staring? We decided to move to another aisle, dismissing it as just one of those weird things that happen sometimes. But as we picked out some chips and debated which soda to buy, I looked up and saw her again. This time she was closer, just one aisle over and still watching us. Okay, that's weird, Mia whispered, clutching her purse a little tighter. She followed us. Let's try to lose her, Tyler suggested, leading the way towards the electronics section. We zigzagged through a couple more aisles, laughing nervously and trying to make a game out of it. But every time we stopped, I would spot her again, looking a few aisles away, her eyes fixed on us. The fun of our outing was beginning to drain away, replaced by a growing unease. We decided to head to the checkout, hoping that being around more people and the store staff might discourage her from following us any further. As we stood in line, I tried to convince myself that it was all a coincidence, that maybe she was just shopping for the same things we were, but when I glanced back, there she was, standing a few checkout lines over, no items in hand, just watching us. That's it, I'm going to say something, Tyler said, stepping out of line, but I grabbed his arm. Let's just pay and get out of here, I don't want any trouble. We hurried through the checkout and made our way to the parking lot, our heads turning every few seconds to check if she was behind us. It was getting dark, and the lamplights flickered as we approached my car. Lock the doors as soon as you get in, I told Mia and Tyler, throwing our bags into the back seat and scanning the lot for any sign of the woman. We jumped into the car, locking the doors and letting out a collective sigh of relief when we didn't see her. As I started the engine and pulled out of the parking spot, Tyler, who was sitting in the back, let out a shout. Drive, she's right there. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw her, the creepy woman, running towards a car with a startling speed. Her face was contorted in a wild expression that I couldn't read in the dim light. I hit the gas and we sped out of the parking lot, all of us too shocked to speak. We took a confused route back to my house, making sure we weren't being followed. It was only when we were safely inside with the doors locked and the curtains drawn that we let the reality of what had happened sink in. We should have told someone, Mia said, her voice shaky, like a manager or something. I know, but I just wanted to get out of there, I admitted, feeling guilty for not handling it better. We tried to enjoy our movie night, but the unease lingered. Every sound made us jump, and more than once, I caught Tyler peering through the blinds. The next day, I called Target and described the woman, telling the manager what had happened. He was apologetic and promised to review the security footage. You did the right thing by leaving and staying safe, he assured me, but it was cold comfort. We never heard if anything came of it, and none of us saw the woman again. The day started like any other summer Saturday with my three little kids. I decided to take the kids to the local pool near my house. It was going to be a fun day of splashing around and cooling off from the heat. My youngest, Eliza, had outgrown her swimsuit, so we stopped at a Walmart on the way to pick up a new one. As I herded my kids toward the children's clothing section, I was mostly focused on keeping an eye on them, making sure no one wandered off. Eliza, who was 6, was picky about what she wanted, something with unicorns and glitter. We sifted through the rack after rack, but couldn't find anything that fit her very specific desires. That's when a seemingly kind older man, probably in his 60s, with a gentle smile and a grandfatherly demeanor approached us. Having trouble finding what you need? He asked in a friendly tone. I smiled, a bit relieved at the offer of help. Yeah, she wants something with unicorns on it, and it seems like they're all out. He chuckled. Unicorns? I think I saw a few on a rack over there. He pointed towards the back of the section. I was just looking at them for my granddaughter. Let me help you find them. I hesitated for a moment, stranger danger always in the back of my mind, but there was something so reassuring and kind about him that I allowed the lapse in my usual vigilance. I told him that would be great and thanked him. He walked over to a rack filled with swimsuits and sure enough pulled out the perfect one, a glittery unicorn swimsuit that made Eliza's face light up with joy. "It's perfect," she exclaimed, and the man beamed at her happiness. "Why don't I get this for her? A gift," he offered, and before I could politely decline, he was already heading to the cashier. I felt awkward, but his gesture seemed so genuine, framed by his stories of his own grandchildren and the delight he seemed to take in making Eliza happy. I followed him to the checkout, my other two kids in tow, still a bit unsure but grateful for the kindness. After paying, he handed the swimsuit to Eliza with a grandfatherly pat on the head. "Enjoy the swimming, little one." We thanked him profusely and headed towards the exit, the kids excitedly talking about hitting the pool. As we made our way to the car, I noticed he was following us. The parking lot wasn't crowded, and his presence suddenly felt ominous rather than friendly. "Can I help you with anything else?" I asked as I opened the car doors to let the kids in. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes this time. "Actually, I love to see her try it on. Make sure it fits perfectly, you know." Alarm bells rang in my head at the request. "Oh, I'm sure it's fine. Thanks again for buying it. We really appreciate it." As I buckled Eliza in, he moved closer, his demeanor changing, becoming more insistent. "It's really no trouble. I can help her change right now." "No, thank you. We're in a hurry," I said firmly, my heart starting to pound. I quickly got the other two kids into the car and slid into the driver's seat, locking all the doors as subtly as I could. The man stood there for a moment, staring, then smiled again, that same unsettling, disconnected smile. "Of course, my mistake. Enjoy your day," he said, backing away. I didn't wait another second, starting the car and driving off as quickly as possible. In the rearview mirror, I saw him watching us leave, standing motionless in the middle of the parking lot. The drive to the pool was silent. My mind raced over what had just happened. Had I overreacted, or had we just narrowly escaped a dangerous situation? I didn't know for sure, and I didn't want to scare the kids, so I kept my fears to myself. We spent the afternoon at the pool, but I was distracted, watching every person who came in and out, ensuring that the man didn't show up. Eliza left her new swimsuit, blissfully unaware of the incident, splashing and playing with her siblings. Later that night, after tucking the kids into bed, I called the police to report the incident. They took down the details and promised to patrol the area. Nothing ever came of it. No reports of similar incidents or sightings of the man, but I couldn't shake the feelings of what might have happened if I'd been less vigilant. It was definitely a lesson for me. No matter how kind someone may come off as, I learned to try my best to avoid making long contact with strangers, especially if my kids are with me. Nothing comes between me and the safety of my children. I just hope this creep doesn't try this with other parents and their kids, because he definitely had some bad intentions. Working the closing shift at Best Buy isn't exactly exciting. Most nights, it's just a bunch of us dragging our feet, vacuuming the floors, and counting the minutes until we can lock up and head home. But this one night, right at the end of a particularly slow and tiring Tuesday, something happened that made all of us wish we were anywhere but there. It was around 9:15 p.m., 15 minutes after we closed, and now I was on floor duty with Jenna, Marcus, and Dan. We were each in different parts of the store, trying to get things tidy for the morning crew. The store was quiet, the usual hum of customer chatter replaced by the distant whir of the vacuum and the occasional clatter of products being put back on shelves. I was straightening up the laptop display near the front when Jenna's voice crackled over the walkie-talkie. "Hey, can one of you guys come to the women's bathroom? I think I heard something weird." At first, I figured it was probably just a customer who had managed to stay past closing without us noticing. It wouldn't be the first time. I told Jenna I would be on my way, setting down the cleaning spray and making my way towards the back of the store where the bathrooms were located. When I got there, Jenna was standing outside the women's bathroom, her arms crossed, looking worried. She explained that she was about to go in to check the supplies and heard something like a big thump move inside. Marcus and Dan showed up a moment later, and we all listened at the door for a minute. Sure enough, there was a faint shuffling sound coming from inside. Dan, always the brave one, knocked firmly on the door. "Hello? We're closed. You need to come out." There was a pause, and then the sound of something, or someone, moving closer to the door. We all exchanged nervous glances as the door slowly creaked open. A man stepped out, looking disheveled and jittery. His clothes were messy, his hair unkempt, and he avoided making eye contact with any of us. "Sorry, I must have lost track of time," he muttered, trying to brush past us. "Hold up," Marcus said. "You can't just stay in here after we close. How did you even get in the bathroom without any of us noticing?" The man stopped, his back still turned to us. "I was just using the bathroom. I'll leave now." His voice was shaky, his demeanor anxious. We watched him as he hurried toward the front of the store, his pace quickening with each step. Something about the whole situation felt off. Jenna pulled out her phone and called our manager, who told us to make sure he left the building and to check the bathroom to see if he had left anything behind. I volunteered to take a look. The bathroom seemed normal at first glance, but then I noticed one of the ceiling tiles was slightly ajar, like someone had pushed it up and moved it to the side. Curious, I grabbed a chair from the break room and stood on it to get a better look. Inside, I found a small backpack stuffed with various items, food wrappers, a flashlight, a dirty blanket, and even some merchandise from the store. I called out to the others that they needed to see this. The others came in, and we all stared at the backpack in disbelief. "It looks like he was planning to stay here for a while," Jenna said, her voice a mix of disbelief and concern. Dan suggested that we check the rest of the store to make sure the guy didn't set up anywhere else. We spent the next hour searching every possible hiding spot, looking behind displays, and checking other restrooms. Thankfully, we didn't find anything else amiss. The police arrived shortly after and took the backpack for evidence. They told us that it wasn't uncommon for people to try and hide out in stores overnight, especially those with a 24-hour format nearby, which might give them ideas. The rest of the night went by slowly. None of us could shake off the creepy feeling and knowing someone had been hiding in the store with us, watching and waiting. When it was finally time to lock up and leave, we all made sure to leave together, checking over our shoulders until we were safely in our cars. The next day, our manager held a meeting to go over security protocols and how we could prevent something like this from happening again. The incident left us all a bit shaken, and it was a topic of conversation for weeks. We were more vigilant during the closing shifts now, and definitely more cautious about making sure no one was left hiding in the store when we locked up.